today's lesson, section 4.4a, we'll be talking about laws of logarithms. Now there are three laws, or you could call them properties of logarithms, that when you have certain things you can separate them and expand them as well. So the first one I usually call is the product property. So it's because here you have the product of two numbers. Now it can be like log of 32. 32 is a product of 4 and 8, or 2 and 16. So it works with all different types of numbers. But basically here you're saying that because of multiplication, you're separating them by addition. Or going the other way, you can, if you have a log of some number with a base plus another log of some number to that same base, then you can combine them and multiply the two numbers under one log. Okay, so all these go both directions. So don't think that just because we separate them, we can't put them back. Okay. The next one I call the quotient property. So if I see division of two numbers, I can separate them by subtraction. And the last one's the power property. So if I have a power, I move it to the front of the log to be change it to multiplication. So it's kind of like your exponential functions, where if I have if I take the multiplication of two things as like bases, then I can add the exponents. Okay, if I have the division of two like bases, then I can subtract the exponents. Okay, and then if I have the power of a base to another power, then I can multiply the exponents. So that's kind of where those come from. So division means subtraction, and multiplication means addition, and power means multiplication. Okay, so that's kind of where they come from and how they can be used. So here, let's say you want to evaluate. So log of 2 base 4 plus log of 32 base 4. Here, because there's an addition sign, it tells me I can put them together and make one log. So that means I could write log of 2 times 32 with a base of 4. Okay, so notice how the addition became multiplication there. Okay, so 2 times 32 gives me a log of 64 base 4. Okay, now if you get to a point where you can't do anything, there's two different ways of simplifying this from here. You can set it equal to a variable and then change it to exponential form. So we had one like this in the last video where you have 4 to the x equals 64, so x must be equal to 3 because 4 cubed would be 64. Or you can use our other properties of logarithms that I gave you at the end of the last video, where if I rewrite log of 64 as like the same base, so 4 cubed is 64, and because of one of my properties where if your bases are the same, the exponent is your answer. So here it would be 3 would be my answer, which is the same answer. Okay, so there's two different thoughts there when you're simplifying these. Okay, here if I have log of 80 base 2 minus log of 5 base 2, the subtraction here tells me that I can divide. So log of 80 divided by 5 base 2 gives me one single log, and then 80 divided by 5 is actually 16. So then I can simplify that if it's possible for them to go into each other. So then now I can do the same thing that we did up there. So I could either change it to, or set it equal to x, and get 2 to the x equals 16, which that would give me x's fourth power. Okay? Or I can reverse this and write this as log of 2 to the 4th base 2, and so then that gives me 4 as a value, which both are the same answer. Okay? Here, power property tells me that I need to move this up. So I get log of 8 to the negative 1/3. Okay? Now, this one, you probably can't rewrite it, so we probably should just set it equal to x on this one. Remember, this is a common log, because notice there's no base written here, so it would be 10. So move this over. 10 to the x equals 8 to the negative 1/3. Okay? Now, here, this one's a little bit harder. Okay? Let's define what this is a little bit more. Okay, so 8 I can rewrite as 2 cubed. Okay, and then I need to multiply that through, or take the power there. So 3 times negative 1/3 is actually 2 to the negative 1st. Okay. So now really I've got 10 to the x equals 1/2. So here, this one's quite a bit harder. You got to figure out what exponent gives you, or gives you 10 to what exponent gives you 1/2. So that really means that you need to go back, because we couldn't simplify it, and we'll need to plug it into our calculator. So sometimes going down the road doesn't get us anywhere, so we need to backtrack. And so since it was common log, I can just use the log. Now I can plug in instead of the 8 to the negative 1/3, I can write 1/2 if I like, because this actually helped me get an easier answer, or an easier number. So if I put log of 0.5 in here, then that gives me negative 0.30. Okay, so then that would be my answer for letter C. So sometimes you'll just have to plug them in, and luckily it was common log, so it made it easy. But usually you want to be able to not use your calculator for these. Okay, have fun.